Good day everyone, welcome to my channel. Let me introduce myself. My name is Mara Tiorlasa, grade 12 JA Rutherford. Most people agree that we need to improve our economic system somehow, yet we're also often keen to dismiss the ideas of capitalism, most famous and ambitious critic Karl Marx. This isn't very surprising in practices. His political and economic ideas have been used to design disastrously planned economies and nasty dictatorship. Nevertheless, we shouldn't reject Marx too quickly. We ought to see him as a guide whose diagnosis of capitalism else help us navigate towards a more promising future. Capitalism is going to have be reformed and Marx analyses are going to be part of any answer. Marx was born in 1818 in Trier, Germany. Soon he became involved with the Communist Party, a tiny group of intellectuals advocating for the overthrow of the class system and the evolution of private property. He worked as a journalist and had to flee Germany, eventually settling in London. Marx wrote an enormous number of books and articles, sometimes with his friend Friedrich Engels. Mostly, Marx wrote about capitalism, the type of economic that dominates the Western world. It was in his day, still getting going, and Marx one of the most intelligent and perceptive critics. These were some of the problems he identified with it. Modern work is alienated. One of Marx's greatest insights is that work can be one of the sources of our greatest joys. But in order to be fulfilled at work, Marx wrote the workers need to see themselves in the object they have created. Think of the person who built this chair. It is straightforward, strong, honest, and elegant. An example of how, at its base, labor offers us a chance to externalize what's good inside us. But this is increasingly rare in the modern world. Part of the problem is that modern work is incredibly specialized. Specialized jobs makes the modern economy highly efficient, but they also mean that it's seldom possible for anyone worker to derive a sense of the genuine contribution they might be making to the needs of humanity. Marx argued that modern work leads to alienation and freedom. In other words, a feeling of disconnection between what you do all day and who you feel you really are and what you think your idea be able to contribute to existence. Modern work is an insect world. Capitalism makes the human being literally expandable. It is one factor among others in the process of production that can be ruthlessly let go the minute that those rice or shipping can be made through technology. And yet, as Marx knew deep inside of us, we don't want to be arbitrarily let go. We're terrified of being abandoned. Communism isn't just an economic theory. Understood emotionally, it expresses a deep-seated longing that we always have a place in the world heart that will not be cast out. Workers get paid little while capitalists get rich. This is perhaps the most obvious qualm Marx had capitalism. In particular, he believed that capitalists shrank the wage of the laborers as much as possible in order to escape wide profit margin. He called this primitive accumulation or speculative accumulation, whereas capitalists see profit as a reward for ingenuity and technological talent. Marx was far more damning. Profit is simple thief, and what you are stealing is the talent and hard work of your workforce. However, Marx one dresses up the fundamentals. Marx insists that its crudest capitalism means paying a worker one price for doing something and selling it to somebody else high price. Profit is a fancy term for exploitation. Capitalism is very unstable. Marx proposed that capitalist systems are characterized by a series of crises. Every crisis is dressed up by capitalists as being somehow British and rare and soon to be the last one. Far from it, argued Marx, crises are endemic to capitalism and they are caused by something very old. That fact, we're able to produce too much far more than anyone needs to consume. Capitalist crises are crises of abundance rather than, as in the past, crises of shortage. Our factories and systems are so efficient. We could give everyone on this planet a car, a house, access to a decent school and hospital. And that's what so enraged Marx and made him hopeful too. Few of us need to work because the modern economy is so productive. But rather than seeing this need to not to work as the freedom it is, we complain about masochistically and describe it by a pejorative word unemployment. We should call it freedom. There's so much unemployment for a good and deeply admirable reason, because we're so good making things efficiently. We're not all needed at the coal face. But in that case, we should, through Marx, make leisure admirable. We should redistribute the wealth of the massive corporation that makes so much surplus money and give it to everyone. This is in its own way as a beautiful dream as Jesus promised if even, but a good deal more realistic sounding. Capitalism is bad for capitalism. Marx did not think capitalists were evil. For example, he was acutely aware of the sorrow and secret agonies that lay behind various marriages. Marx argued that marriage was actually an extension of business, and that the Borges family was fraught with tensions, oppression, and resentment, with people staying together, not for love but for financially reasons. Marx believed that the capitalist system forces everyone to put economic interests at the heart of their lives so that they can no longer know deep, honest relationships. He called this psychological tendency commodity fetishism, because it makes us value things that have no object's values. He wanted people to be freed from financial constraint so that they could at last start to make sensible, healthy choices in their relationship. The 20th century, feminist answer to the oppression of women has been to argue the woman should be able to go out to work. Marx's answer was more subtle. These feminists insisted merely perpetrate human slavery. The point isn't the woman should imitate the suffering of their male colleagues. It's that men and women should have the permanent option to enjoy leisure. Why don't we all think a bit more like Marx? An important aspect of Marx's work is that he proposed that there is an insidious, subtle way in which the economic system colors the sort of ideas that we ending up having. The economic generate what Marx termed an ideology. A capitalist society is one where most people, rich and poor, believe all sorts of things that are really just value judgment that relate back to the economic system. For example, that a person who doesn't work is worthless, that leisure beyond a few weeks a year is sinful, that more belongings will make us happier than worldwide things, and people will invariably make money. In short, one of the biggest evils of capitalism is not that there are corrupt people at the top. This is true in any human hierarchy, but the capitalist ideas teach all of us to be anxious, competitive, conformist, and political complacent. Marx didn't only outline what was wrong capitalism, we also get glimpses of what Marx wanted the ideal utopian future to be like. It is Communist Manifesto. He described a world without private property or inherited wealth, with a steadily graduated income tax, centralized control of the banking, communication, and transport industry, and free public education. Marx also expected that communist society would allow people to develop lots of different sides of their natures. In communist society, it is possible for me to do one thing today and another tomorrow. To hunt in the morning, fish in the afternoon, rear cutter in the evening, criticize after dinner, just as I have a mind, without ever become hunter, fisherman, herdsman, or critic. After Marx moved to London, he was supported by his friend and intellectual partner Friedrich Engels, a wealthy man whose father owned a cotton plant in Manchester. Engels covers Marx's deeds and made sure his work were published. Capitalism paid for communism. The two men even wrote each other adoring poetry. Marx was not a well-regarded or popular intellectual in his day. Respectable, conventional people of Marx, they would have laughed at the idea that his idea could remake the world. Yet just a few decades later they did. His writing became the keystone for some of the most important ideological movement of 20th century. But Marx was like a brilliant doctor in the early days of medicine. He could recognize the nature of the disease, although he had no idea how to go about curing it. At this point in history, we should all be Marxists in the sense of agreeing with this diagnosis of our troubles. But we need to go out and find the cures that will really, as Marx himself declared, and we deeply agree. Philosophers until now have only interpreted the world in various ways. The point, however, is to change it.